Most people go through life seeing only what's right in front of them, and that's exactly why they miss what's really happening. You know that feeling when someone takes advantage of you and you only realize it after it already happened? Yeah, that's about to stop. What Machiavelli figured out 500 years ago will make you look back at your own life and go, "Oh damn, that's exactly what they did to me." You know that person who just never gets played, who always seems to see things coming before everyone else does. You probably thought they were just smarter or more experienced or maybe just lucky. But that's not it. They just learned something most people never bother to learn: how to look at what's actually in front of them instead of what they want to be there. That's it. That's the whole thing. Most of us grew up being told, be kind, be trusting, give people the benefit of the doubt. And look, that's not bad advice, but nobody told us the other half of it. Nobody said, while you're being kind, also pay attention. Because kindness without awareness, it's not a strength, it's just an open door, and eventually the wrong person walks through it. This video is not about being suspicious of everyone, it's about being clear-eyed. Warm and clear-eyed at the same time. We'll go through 7 lessons about how people actually behave, why they do what they do, how they protect what they want, and how you can stop being the last one to see it. Each lesson hits a different blind spot. By the end, the way you read people and situations will never be quite the same. Before we begin, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I see clearly. Let's get into it. Number 1, people don't run on principles, they run on interest. Most of us grow up being told that good people do the right thing, and we believe it. We have to, because we want to live in a world where that's true. We want the people around us to be guided by their values, their loyalty, their love for us. We want to believe that when it matters, the people we trust will show up, and then life happens. Think back to a time someone's loyalty just evaporated. Maybe they got a better option, maybe you needed something that cost them a little comfort. Maybe the dynamic shifted and suddenly they weren't as available, as warm, as present as they used to be. And you felt it when you realized the words and the actions didn't match anymore. Here's what actually happened. Their interest changed. That's it. That's the whole story. People don't move through the world on principles. Principles are what we talk about when our interest and the right thing happen to line up. When they don't line up, the principle disappears, quietly, with an excuse attached. I would have helped, but the timing wasn't right. I care about you. I just need to focus on myself right now. You know I'm always here for you. I've just been dealing with a lot. The loyalty language stays. But the behavior tells you exactly where their interest actually is. This is not a reason to hate people. This is a reason to understand people, because once you understand this, you stop being surprised. You stop taking it personally. You stop wondering what you did wrong when someone who claimed to care about you chose their comfort over your need. You didn't do anything wrong. You just believed their words instead of watching their patterns. Here's something even sharper. Interest doesn't always look selfish. Sometimes people genuinely believe they're acting on principle. They've just conveniently developed a principle that happens to align perfectly with what they already wanted to do. The brain is extraordinarily good at constructing moral justifications after the fact. So the person who pulled back on you isn't necessarily lying. They may have actually convinced themselves they had good reasons. That's not comfort. That's just the fuller, more honest picture of how this works, which means the tell isn't whether someone has good explanations. Everyone has good explanations. The tell is the direction the explanations always seem to point. If every single principled decision they make also happens to benefit them and cost you, that pattern is the data, not any individual choice. The real move, the one that protects you, is to stop evaluating people based on what they say and start watching what they protect. Watch what they will never sacrifice, no matter what. Watch what they do the first time it actually costs them something real to show up for you. That's the honest version of who they are. Everything else is just talk. And here's the part nobody talks about. This applies to you too. When was the last time your interest and your stated values pointed in opposite directions? What did you actually do? Most people never ask themselves that question honestly. But the ones who do, the ones willing to look at themselves the same way they look at everyone else, those are the people who actually grow. Because they're not working with a flattering story about themselves. They're working with what's real. And real is always a better place to start from. Number 2, read the image, not the person. The world doesn't respond to what you are. It responds to what it thinks you are. That's uncomfortable, but it's completely true. Think about the people in your life who have real influence, real pull. People listen to them. People trust them without needing much evidence. They walk in and the room adjusts. Now ask yourself why. Is it always because they're the most knowledgeable, the most experienced, the most honest? Not necessarily. What they have is a certain kind of presence. They carry themselves like they know something. They don't fidget. They don't over-explain. They don't apologize for taking up space. And the room believes them. That's intentional. Maybe not always conscious, but intentional. Now flip it, because this is where it gets important for you. This same principle is exactly how people manipulate you. The person who comes in warm, humble, gentle, always the first to admit a flaw, that image drops your guard. You think, this person has nothing to hide. You relax. You trust earlier than you should. You give them access to your plans, your vulnerabilities, your circle. And sometimes that image was completely real, but sometimes it was a presentation, carefully built, because a warm, harmless image gets you access that aggression or ambition never could. Here's a tell most people miss. Real people have friction. They have off days, contradictions, moments where they're petty or short or just not their best. When someone's presentation is perfectly smooth, no edges, no bad days, always the right response at the right moment, that kind of consistency takes effort. And effort that's sustained always has a purpose behind it. The question isn't whether someone has a polished image. Everyone presents a version of themselves. The question is whether the image and the person are roughly the same thing, or whether one is being carefully managed to keep you from seeing the other. Watch the gap between image and behavior over time, not in the moments they're trying to impress you. Anyone can be good then. Watch them when there's nothing to gain from keeping up the front. When they're tired, when they didn't know you were watching, when the other person in the room can't do anything for them. Those moments actually tell you something. Don't react immediately, just file it. The picture builds slowly, and the people who see it clearly are the ones who were paying attention from the beginning. One more thing on image. Don't just watch it in other people, audit your own. Most people have a gap between how they present and who they actually are, and they're not always aware of the size of that gap. The goal isn't to perform better. The goal is to shrink the gap. So, your image and your character are roughly the same thing. That kind of alignment is rare, and people can feel it. They may not be able to name why they trust you more than someone technically smoother, but that's why. Consistency between the outside and the inside is one of the most powerful things a person can carry. Number 3, pick a side. Neutrality will cost you. At some point you've been in a situation where two people you care about are in conflict, and you tried to stay neutral. You didn't want to get involved. You told yourself it wasn't your fight. You'd stay in the middle, where it was safe. Here's what you probably noticed. It didn't work, because when you refused to pick a side, neither side fully trusts you. The person who needed your support and didn't get it felt abandoned, even if you never said a word against them. The person who won the conflict looks at you and wonders whether you'd have backed them if things had gone the other way. You tried to protect yourself by staying neutral, but you ended up with no credit from either direction and a quiet reputation for being someone who won't commit when it actually counts. Neutrality feels like protection. It's actually exposure. Here's the logic. When there's a real conflict between two forces, both sides are tracking who stands where. Your silence doesn't read as "I'm staying out of it." It reads as "I can't be counted on," and people don't invest in, confide in, or go to bat for people they can't count on. Now, this doesn't mean recklessly picking fights or pledging loyalty without thinking. That's just impulsiveness in a costume. The lesson is about being deliberate, about where you actually stand, knowing who you're aligned with, knowing why, and when the moment comes, being clear about it. Not performing loyalty, actually showing up. There's another layer most people skip. Some people stay neutral, not out of fear, but out of calculation. They're waiting to see who wins before they commit. They want to end up on the right side without having taken any risk to get there. And here's the thing. The people around them usually see it happening in real time. They track it. And they remember. Later, when that person tries to collect credit or claim loyalty, there's nothing in the account. You can't make deposits after the fact. The only time neutrality is legitimate is when you genuinely have no stake and no relationship with either party, and even then, be honest about that. Don't dress up your disengagement as some elevated, principled position. Just say plainly, "This isn't mine to weigh in on." That's more respected than the performance of being above it all. Number 4, move while the window is open. There's a window that opens in almost every significant situation in your life. A moment when the right move is available, the cost is manageable, and the outcome is still shapeable. And most people, not all, but most, don't move in that window. They wait. They wait for more certainty. They wait, hoping the situation will fix itself. They wait because moving first feels risky, and doing nothing feels safer. And then the window closes, the cost goes up, the options narrow, and suddenly they're not making a strategic move anymore. They're reacting to a crisis they could have managed months ago for a fraction of what it's now going to take. This happens in relationships all the time. The small tension you let sit for 6 months because you didn't want to have a hard conversation. Now it's not small anymore. Now the conversation you were avoiding is 10 times harder, and the damage is already baked in. The same thing happens with decisions about your own direction, the job, the pattern, the person. You see it. You know something needs to change, but you keep pushing it back. I'll deal with it when things settle down. Spoiler: things don't settle down on their own. They calcify. What was once a choice becomes a situation you're stuck inside. The people who always seem to be ahead of their circumstances share one thing: they act while they still have options. Not recklessly, but they don't confuse preparation with procrastination. And from the inside, those two things feel exactly the same. That's why the test matters. Ask yourself honestly, am I still gathering information, or am I just avoiding the discomfort of moving? If you'd know everything relevant in a week that you don't know today, keep gathering. If another month of waiting won't change what you already understand, you're not preparing, you're stalling. Move. There's also a particular kind of waiting that looks like strategy but isn't. It's the waiting that happens when you've already made the decision privately. You know what you need to do, but you keep delaying the external action, because once you do it, you can't undo it. The decision is already made. You're just running out the clock on the moment before it becomes real. That's not strategy. That's avoidance dressed in patience's clothing. And the longer that gap stays open between what you know and what you do, the more expensive it gets, because you're still paying the cost of the situation while pretending you haven't decided yet. The flip side is real too. Don't move before the situation is actually readable. Acting too early, before you have enough clarity, is just as costly as acting too late. You telegraph your hand. You lock into a direction before the landscape has settled. The skill is learning to tell the difference between now and not yet. You don't learn that from a formula. You learn it by watching what's actually in front of you, not what you hope is there, not what you fear is there. One more thing. Waiting often feels responsible, careful, patient. But look back at the actual cost of times you waited, the friendship you should have stepped back from months earlier, the opportunity you circled without ever committing, the conversation you kept postponing until the relationship couldn't absorb it anymore. The caution felt like wisdom. It was fear wearing a respectable name. Know the difference. Number 5. Stop chasing approval. Earn respect. Most of us want to be liked. We want people to be glad we're in the room. That's human. There's nothing wrong with it. But here's where it goes sideways. When you start making decisions specifically designed to keep people comfortable with you, you slowly hollow out the thing that makes people actually take you seriously. Think about someone you know who cannot say no, someone who bends on everything. What happens over time? People push, not out of malice. It's just human behavior. Where there are no edges, people expand. They ask for more. They treat that person not as someone to respect, but as a resource to access. And the painful irony, people eventually stop genuinely liking that person either. Because underneath, we don't actually respect someone who folds under pressure. We might enjoy the access, but we lose something for them, even if we can't name it. Real respect comes from a different place. It comes from consistency, meaning what you say and following through on it. From having real limits and actually holding them. Not because you're cold or aggressive, but because you're clear. And clarity does something that niceness alone never can. It makes people calibrate. When someone knows you mean what you say, they listen differently. They don't test you, not because they're afraid of you, because there's simply no gap to probe. Here's what this looks like in practice. Stop softening every position until it has no edge left. Stop apologizing for things that don't warrant an apology. Stop packaging your needs into something so small and painless that you've basically already abandoned them before you even said them out loud. Hold the line on the things that matter. Let people sit with brief discomfort. The discomfort passes. The respect compounds. There's a specific skill inside this that doesn't get talked about enough. Learning to say something once, clearly, without repeating it or walking it back. Most people who struggle with this don't lack conviction. They lack the comfort with silence that comes after a clear statement. You say your boundary, the other person looks uncomfortable or pushes back, and the urge to soften, to explain more, to over-justify, becomes almost physical. Resist it. The over-explaining is what signals that you're negotiable. State it once. Mean it. Then let the silence do the work. And this is the part most people never get to. The people who like you because you never push back. That isn't real affection. That's convenience. The moment you have genuine needs of your own, that like evaporates. But the people who respect you, actually respect you, show up when things get harder. Because respect is about who you are, not what you're providing at this particular moment. Real strength doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need to. It just shows up in the small moments, The moment when it would have been easier to let something slide, to absorb something you didn't deserve, to say yes when you clearly meant no. Those moments accumulate, and over time they build a picture in people's minds of exactly what you will and won't accept. That picture, not your title, not your achievements, not your warmth, determines how people treat you in every ordinary interaction that follows. Number 6. Watch the patterns before they destroy you. Open enemies are actually manageable. You know where the threat is. You can see it, name it, plan for it. There's a strange clarity in a declared opponent. They've shown you where they stand. The threat that actually takes people down is the one they never saw coming. The person who was close, who had access, who knew the real story, who showed up looking like support while doing damage from the inside. Most people don't want to think about this, because it's uncomfortable to believe that someone who seemed to care might have been working against you the whole time. So we don't look. We give the benefit of the doubt. We tell ourselves we're good at reading people. We keep trusting past the point where the evidence supports it. But the signs are almost always there. They're just subtle enough that each one alone is easy to dismiss. The person who agrees with you to your face, but never actually backs you when it matters. The one who somehow always has your sensitive information reach exactly the wrong people. The one whose help always seems to benefit them just a little more than it benefits you. The one you'd go to war for, but when you actually needed backup, there was always a reason they couldn't show up. Here's the distinction that changes everything. Incidents are different from patterns. An incident has an explanation. People get busy. People have hard stretches. That's all true. But a pattern is information. And when you start lining up the incidents and they all point in the same direction, that's not paranoia. That's honesty. There's another version of this that's less dramatic but just as real. Some people don't start out positioned against you. They drift there slowly as circumstances change. Your success starts to throw a shadow on their stagnation. The friendship that used to feel easy now has a strange edge to it, because your growth shifted the dynamic in a way that made them uncomfortable, and they haven't said anything out loud yet. They're not villains, but their interests have quietly moved away from yours, and pretending otherwise will cost you. The protection is the same in both cases. Pay attention to the gap between what someone says and what they consistently do. Not in the moments they're performing for you. In the ordinary moments when there's nothing particularly at stake. How do they talk about people who aren't in the room? Does your information stay where you left it? Do they celebrate your wins in public the same way they seem to in private? You don't have to be suspicious of everyone. That will just make you a bad friend and an exhausted person. But you do have to be honest about what patterns are actually telling you, instead of explaining them away, because acknowledging the truth would require you to act on it. There's a version of loyalty that's really just avoidance. You keep trusting someone not because they've earned it recently, but because facing the truth about them would mean having a hard conversation, or making a painful change, or admitting that you missed something you should have seen. So you construct a more forgiving story about them. And you need to add a new chapter to that story every few months to keep up with the evidence piling against it. If you catch yourself doing that, telling a story that keeps requiring updates to stay believable, the story is the problem. The most expensive thing you can do is stay loyal to a version of someone that no longer exists. The cost isn't just what they take from you directly. It's the time, energy, and trust you could have been investing somewhere it would actually grow. Number 7, watch them when they win. This one rearranges things most when you really let it land. We have a story we tell about people that power corrupts them. That someone was good, and then they got money or status or authority, and it turned them into something different. We use that story because it's comforting. It lets us believe the person we loved and trusted was real, and that something external came along and ruined them. But that's usually not what happened. What actually happened is that the power removed the conditions that were keeping certain parts of them out of sight. The cruelty, the pettiness, the entitlement, it was always there. It just had no room to show itself before. When there was no leverage, no advantage, they had to be agreeable. They needed something from you, or the cost of behaving badly was too high, so they were cooperative, warm, careful. Not because they chose to be, because they had to be. Then the balance shifted. They got something, resources, status, an edge, and the behavior that was always underneath now had room to surface. What you're seeing isn't a new person. It's the same person without constraints. This is why you learn almost nothing about someone by watching how they act when they're struggling or equal. You learn everything by watching how they act when they have the upper hand. How do they talk to people who can't push back? What do they do the moment after they win, not just when they lose? Do they get magnanimous or do they press? Do they remember who was there for them, or does their memory get conveniently selective? These are not small details. These are the most important things you can know about a person before you give them real access to your life. And here's the version of this that applies to you. When you get more money, more options, more freedom, more of whatever you've been building toward, watch yourself. Because what you do with that advantage tells you more about who you actually are than anything you believed about yourself during the years you were grinding for it. Most people think they'll be generous when they have enough. Generous people are generous when they don't have enough. The having just makes it visible. One last piece. If you're building something, a relationship, a partnership, a structure, don't build it so it only holds together because you personally are good right now. You'll have bad seasons. You'll be tired, stretched, not at your best. A thing that only works when you're performing well is not a solid thing. It's a lucky streak. Build in the standards, the expectations, the accountability, so that the structure holds, even when the people inside it are imperfect. That's what actually lasts. Let's be real for a second. Most people who watch a video like this will nod along, feel something click, and then go right back to ignoring what they already know. They'll keep making excuses for the same people. They'll keep waiting too long to move. They'll keep confusing being liked with being respected. And then, 6 months from now, they'll be sitting in the same situation wondering why nothing ever changes. That's not you. Not after this. You now have a different way of looking at people. Not suspicious, clear. You know to watch what someone protects, not what they claim. You know that a perfect image is often a strategy, not a character. You know that floating in the middle when things get hard is not wisdom. It's avoidance with a good story attached. You know the window doesn't stay open forever. You know that real respect is built on follow-through, not on being agreeable. You know the quiet ones who smile and stay close are sometimes the ones to watch most carefully. And you know that the moment someone gets power, money, leverage, and advantage over you, that's when you finally see who they actually are. 7 lessons, none of them comfortable, all of them true. Here's the thing about this kind of awareness. It doesn't make you colder, it makes you freer. You stop carrying confusion about situations that were never actually confusing. You stop wasting loyalty on people who were never loyal in return. You stop punishing yourself for not seeing things you weren't equipped to see yet, because now you're equipped. The people who move through life with this kind of clarity, They're not harder. They're just done being surprised by the predictable. They choose who they trust carefully, and when they give trust, it means something real. That's not paranoia. That's just wisdom. If this video gave you something, hit the like button right now. Share it with someone who needs to hear this. Someone who keeps getting hurt by the same kinds of people and never quite understands why. This might be exactly what changes that for them. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it, because this is what we do here. We go deep on the things most people avoid thinking about, and that's exactly why it's worth your time. See you in the next one.